only 1% of water that is available on planet Earth is drinkable? Sounds scary, right? Water is not going to be a luxury anymore. It's depleting from the surface of Earth at an alarming rate. So what are we doing about it? As a part of the food industry, we use a lot of water. So it becomes our responsibility to curb down the wastage, isn't it? That's why I'm associated with a company that has been a story of responsibility, conservation, sustainability, and innovation. TNS Brass. For the last 70 years, this US-based company is making products for the food service industry, which are innovative and a boon to the cause of water conservation. So now let's hear from the general manager of the Den Hotel how TNS Brass products are helping them in conserving water.
We at the Den Bangalore are very happy to associate ourselves with TNS Brass for their products. I think they have excellent products, and working towards water conservation and energy conservation, they help us meet our goals. We are very proud to be associated with them.
When we think kitchen, we should also think of different ways to conserve water inside it. Let's be responsible towards our future generation. So let's partner with TNS Brass and support them in their mission. Save water, save life.
So welcome everyone who's joining our panel today under the umbrella of World Hospitality Trend Summit Africa. And the panel is about design and build in hotels. So this event is prepared during unprecedented time. COVID-19 has affected every sector across the globe, and the hotel industry is among the hardest hit. Some researchers suggest that recovery to pre-COVID-19 level could take until 2023 or even later. So like so many industries, hospitality will also see some subtle and substantial shifts in the post-pandemic era, and that's what we're discussing today. So from repurposing a property to adapting new strategies and approaches to secure a strong comeback for hotel assets once the industry restarts. A multitude of things have to be considered, from operational change to strict hygiene measures. Our panel today gathers diverse industry experts that should bring a fresh perspective to the topic. So I'll start by letting each of them introduce themselves before guiding the discussion to more specific areas through questions. We can start the introduction in whatever order you prefer. So whoever want to start, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. My name is Gavin Woodward, and I work for a company called TNS Brass. But I've spent 14 years in the industry, in the food service industry in particular, into kitchen equipment design, build, planning, through a plethora of different backgrounds, including food waste management, sustainability, and still continue to do that today and enjoy it, and looking forward to accepting the challenges and supporting each other into 2021.
My name is Mohammad, and I'm the regional head for both Africa and MENA at the World Green Building Council. The Green Building Council is an international network of around 70 green building councils around the world. Within their membership, they have close to 40,000 companies and individuals.
My name is Piotr Kalinowski. I'm CEO and design director of company Mixed. We design hospitality interior design as well as workplace and retail. We work in Europe, but also in abroad, in North Africa, Middle East, and Russia and Western Europe as well. So we are a young, experience-driven company trying to redesign hospitality experience for better with every project. So that's the background. Thank you so much.
Yes, my name is Laurent Delporte. I come from France. I used to work for Accor Group and Sofitel. I was also the international manager for the sustainable management for Sofitel. And since 2010, I have found my own company, Delporte Hospitality. I have created a media, luxuryhotelexpert.com, where I share my knowledge, my contact about luxury hotels, guest experience, and also some sustainable field topics. It's a passion for me, and I also 3 years ago I have created a room for the name was Origin. It was like a prototype room for to just like a brainstorming to imagine what is the room of the future, and we integrate also, many things. It's a pleasure to be here.
My name is Charles Nduku. I am the current president of South African Council for Architectural Profession. I'm a practicing architect. I'm running my own practice since 2002. I've been involved in all commercial designs, all types of buildings that I've designed. And I am still practicing in this current time of hardship, economic downturn, COVID-19 challenges. Basically, I'm looking forward to share and hear the experiences of my fellow citizens in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. And you will start by sharing before hearing, because the first question is directed to you. Okay. So we'll start with, since you're a designer and acclaimed architect, we're starting with the first topic, which is about reshaping our spaces and designs. Yes. And the first question is about how important is incorporating all the new regulations we're seeing, like social distancing or contact-free systems and new innovation, into designs to attract new guests to hotels after pandemic, and how can we future-proof our buildings to counter future threats that could come?
Thank you very much. I think let me start off by referring back to the outbreaks of other disease which took place in around towards the end of 19th century and 20th century, the outbreak of cholera and also the outbreak of tuberculosis. In the area of cholera, we've seen urban design interventions through design where that sort of situation influenced the design of wide boulevards, huge public parks, and standard sewage systems that are actually covering the whole city, whereas the situation before that, it was not a standardized approach. And again, the issue of tuberculosis in early 20th century, we see the design of a sanatorium. I can refer to the one that I visited, the one that is designed by Alvar Aalto, one of the best architects in the world, in Finland, by Mio, a sanatorium in Finland, and where he actually, the approach was biodynamically aligned design so that each wing responds to requirements of each room for the sunshine and the views. And I remember, I think on the first floor, or in fact, in each of the floor, there's quite a wide balcony, facing the greenery, facing the sunshine, just for those people that are in to experience, to have views, to have connection with the nature, and also look at the sky so that they can have hope for the future. These are the kind of impacts these outbreaks had in the built environment, and then they led to the evolution of modern architecture, which evolved from that time. But now Currently, we are faced with this pandemic, COVID-19, where we will have to look at the guest rooms, the adaptability, how flexible they are, the use of lightweight structure materials, consider, multifunctionality. A room now will have to accommodate all the functions or multifunctionality. You sleep there, you work there, you eat there, you exercise, and you entertain. So which affects or sort of impact the size of the room now. It cannot just be like a sleeping pad. It needs to be bigger than that. And then considering these issues and also common spaces, the issues of trying to mitigate risk, avoid, meeting a lot of people, the use of materials and the choice of material that is self-cleaning, overall look at the whole interior, the built-in furniture, those are the issues that we have to look at. I mean, the wellness conscious design where people will have to be in that space. You're going to train in the same space, you're going to sleep, you're going to stay in the same space. And the hotels now, when they offer those packages, they must offer a full package, which will be offered, encompassed in one room, rather than you have to move out of your room, go to a gym area where you meet a lot of people, and then you risk your health. So that our designs now will have to relook into those things. And also the reconfiguration of circulation. How lifts are always congested, that we need to reconfigure and rethink how are we going to design circulation, maybe considering one way coming in and another way coming out. Like as you design a hospital, you have to think about how the design, the circulation is going to impact hygiene of the hospital. That will definitely apply in this situation as well. I mean, seamless technologies where the touchless check-in points, touchless sanitary fittings, you don't have to touch the tap when you open the water, the cleaning of bathrooms, you can name them. So those are the approach or the design, the challenges that will be facing or are facing architects now. And I can tell you architects will live up to those challenges, because architects always like challenges, and they are achievable, and the designs will have to be resilient so that in the future, we design for the future and the current situation so that we don't get caught again in a situation like this. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles, for all of your insights, and I cannot agree more with all the strategies you've listed. And I don't want to take longer because following the same questions, I want to go to Mr. Piotr as a designer and ask almost the same question. So, which is, with the fear of contamination rises and we can await future contaminations as well, not just this one, what would be the architectural design, and how do we imagine future designs post-COVID-19 era?
We are currently working with many hoteliers and investors, and we are asking the same question every time we start a new project. And this is yet to be defined, how the new hospitality will arise from the situation over 2020. But at this point, we see some trends that are arising, and these are based on a positive approach that travel will start again after the restrictions will be halved. And the positive way of approach here is to look for opportunities in these new areas of new hospitality. As a young company, we look for many new interesting ventures we have with design. We mainly focus on lifestyle hospitality and resort, sort of luxury, but more like focus on lifestyle mainly. So that we are a recommended practice for Accor in many areas, and also for Hilton, for EHG. So we work directly with, for example, the Paris office of Accor, or new brands which are being developed right now. And as we see, there's many opportunities here for many countries to involve new brands and new hotels, which are focused on human and human behavior, and also the sustainability. And this is, in our opinion, the new hospitality which will arise. It's an accelerator of change, and the change should be, it's a responsible change. It should be directed very carefully into the world of sustainability, into the world of responsible traveling. And we, as a young generation of designers and architects from Europe, we actually are located in Eastern Europe, in Poland, where we remember how the change affects people's lives and how the new hospitality, new world, new market can be built. And definitely there's room for all of us and for companies, for hotel chains, for hoteliers, investors, to take a careful look at where sustainability and responsibility for human behavior should lead. And this is a matter of architecture, as Mr. Charles mentioned, the previous eras of challenges, which affects many of the countries, many of the continents. And usually we speak the same language here in Europe, where challenges create opportunities. And definitely we need to take a direct look at sustainability in design, in interior design. And I think it's a great responsibility here to treat human behavior, human experience and guest experience, and educate people which are traveling and using the environment on how to decrease the environmental impact, how to focus on good, positive way and approach for local cultures, which should also be educated, how to communicate with traveling people. And I think there's a lot of room of improvement here. But also I think the new generation of travelers and guests definitely look for this kind of experience, which is very responsible and environmental friendly. And people 25 to 35 years traveling, heavy traveling or tourists, definitely look also for cultural inspiration from local communities. And this is a place where we can redesign and rethink how we approach those goals in new hotels, and how to make the local culture, local community be involved in a life of tourists, and also on the other hand, in a reverse engineer of tourist life and tourist goals when you travel, want to discover new cultures, how to educate people through architecture and through interior design. And definitely we see this trend every year. And as I said, the pandemic situation will accelerate the change. But we are very positive about this when we work with Accor and Hilton, that our designers, which are 25 years old or 30 years old, they look for authenticity, they look for involvement of local communities, and also for responsible design in these areas. So definitely there's a way and areas for change. And we are very focused and positive about interior design and how it also architecture, how it affects people's lives, not only travelers, but also for local people, for local communities. And definitely we should take a direct look into this. We also spoke a little bit time ago on a conference. It was 6 or 7 months ago when the pandemic started. And after 6 or 7 months, I must say that hospitality business definitely will reborn. And this is a good way of thinking, that with rebirth, we need to focus on new goals, redefine goals, discuss those things, and make this positive approach on not only interior design in luxury approach, but also responsible, authentic approach. And this is definitely the summary of things that we need to take a look at this point, in my opinion. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I really like your viewpoint of taking the challenge as an opportunity and the pandemic as a moment to pause and rethink how we are doing things to take up the challenge and enhance our practices, because all sectors are going more sustainable, but it's just a little push to make them go sustainable quicker. People are more aware of the impacts, and people now are demanding these kind of things. And
yes.
Yeah, you've really summarized it while saying that the new designs should be human-centered and focus on the needs of the guests and their experience. And on that point, I want to go to Laurent, who's a luxury hotel expert, but also a creator of the Origini, which is a hotel room of the future innovation. And I want to ask you about, in terms of guest expectations, what would be the guest preferences and how will the guest experience change after 2020? So if you can talk to us a little bit about your Hotel Room of the Future project and share your insights about the topic.
Yes, there are so many things are changing now, and it's so hard to imagine what will happen in 6 months, in 1 year, 2 years. At the same time, we have to prepare the future. 4 years ago, it was for the Equipe Hotel show in Paris. It was an exhibition about hotel and restaurants in Paris. We decided to create a room and to imagine, not a room, it was a prototype of a hotel room. So this means we bring inside many things. We try to imagine, yes, the room for the future. And this room was energy efficient, for sure, biosourced, and the topic was revitalizing. That means that I think since a long time now we spoke about we save energy, we save water, we take care about the trees, etc. It's nice, but maybe we forget something very important, is the customer. And it's very important it's nice and it's very important to save energy, etc. At the same time, it's nice to communicate to the customer about this, but at the same time, it's important to bring something about the nature inside the room. And for this room, you imagine, for example, if you arrive in your room at 6 o'clock and you want to go to bed at 9 p.m., maybe we will start a program with a light, and at 8 o'clock, the light go down, because the effect on your mind is very important to prepare to go to sleep. At the same time, if you want to wake up at 7 o'clock, it's not so nice to have an alarm and arrive at 7, ding ding, and you have to wake up. So we start to add the lights on the room, and more during 1 hour. And at the end, at 7 o'clock, you are ready to be awake. It was just an example. You saw sometimes many bad food in the room just before, because we want to give you a chocolate or sugar before sleeping. But it's also not so nice. It's better to bring something from the nature. So that is interesting to imagine what is the nature, and how can you bring in all the guest experience inside the room. You can create an experience. For sure, sometimes it's also a big question with the digital, because now you have a lot of digital things and electricity things in the room. Even if you stay in a luxury hotel and in a modern luxury hotel, and you can pay a lot of money just to sleep there, but sometimes you sleep very bad. I think this is renovation have to take care about the well-being, and it's nice to have a spa in your hotel, for sure, a swimming pool, but also it's nice to bring well-being inside the room. How can you propose when you build the room? It's important to have a quiet space inside the room to do that, to do yoga, you have so many now activities for well-being you can do in your room. I think yes, it's a new way to imagine the room for tomorrow.
Thank you. I really like this idea of designing while taking into account all the new definitions we get to see lately about the biophilic design, the circadian rhythm for the lighting, and like respecting the human nature in the environment, so that because there is a saying from Winston Churchill that was saying that we design our building and afterwards our buildings shape us. So if we want to be shaped good by our environment, we need to design them appropriately. And I just wanted to add that to enhance even further this guest experience, and with all the digitalization we have now, maybe like using questionnaire to ask future clients about their preferences before light scenarios or the food to be there, or even like programs such as yoga or meditation. But yeah, that interaction with the clients is also really important to take into account. And I want to continue with sustainability. And I'm coming back to you, Mr. Gavin, as a water conservation and resource management expert. And the question is, in what areas can hotel operators and owners reduce energy and water usage and save money, especially with our drastic increase of energy consumption and water wastage that we've registered during the past decades? So if you have any insights about reducing further our water and energy use, that would be good.
Yeah, of course, and thank you very much for the question. Yeah, I mean, I think the answer to this is kind of multifaceted, and as Laurent said, for example, it's not always the case where it's possible to give the guest what they want in that experience, but also reducing, the total energy usage, the water usage or whatever. So it's kind of a balance, I think, and multifaceted. As mentioned about the guest survey that you brought up there, I think what's important as well is really to help them understand or create an awareness as to how they can be, more engaged with the idea of sustainability as well. So it's not just what the hotel does, but of course the guest. I mean, I think like everybody, if we want to have a shower, we want to have a shower with a lot of water. We want to be comfortable, but at the same time, in other areas, we can save money. We can reduce the utilities. We can reduce the amount of water and energy we use. And maybe it's reward programs with guests. I know a lot of hotel groups perhaps already do this. And I know there are some that, give extra rewards for rooms not being serviced, means less laundry, means we're not, the impact on the environment is less. And then another part of it really is, I think, also comes down to the operator training. I mean, I think we can always look at the guests, but from an operational point of view, I think it's important to look at what we're actually doing, how we're operating. And, what we do ourselves as a company is we actually provide a water audit and a sustainability audit. And we go around to hotels. I've just recently been to Dubai, and give you an example of the Anantara Resort on the Palm. A simple thing like operationally, we discussed how using water, for example, to clean down a bar or a kitchen, make small differences, but big impact in cost and water usage. And we walked around the facility, and one person was cleaning down the bar, but of course the tap was just left on and running. And of course, walking around with the senior engineers and the management and the sustainability managers, they said, okay, well, why don't we just pop this, or turn the tap off when you're not, walking around cleaning down, as you mentioned about even the bedrooms. So, I mean, it's operationally too, but then, of course, as you mentioned, it comes down to the equipment. So whether it is the laundry machines, whether it's, the dishwasher, whether it's how we operate. And as Charles mentioned, moving towards sensor faucets, for example, which, automatically shut off when you're not using them. It's on and off. You're not wasting water. It's not being left on. It's more hygienic. And then you look at other areas where, I've worked on projects in the Maldives, for example, where they're utilizing the grey water to water the gardens, keep that nature pretty outside. There's so many things you can do, but of course it's cost prohibitive. We're not saying that this is affordable for everybody, but there are other options. So, potable grey water, any form of purification that can be done, certainly on islands or where, where water is a lot more scarce or desalinized and more expensive. There is that sort of option, but certainly with all the equipment, the faucets, the hardware, that's what we're into, much like, the energy efficient lighting, that can all be done the same as lighting, just with a faucet, with taps, with hardware that's connected to the water system. So, yes, looking at your lavatories, looking at what you're doing with your hand sinks, looking at what you're doing in the restaurant, how you're operating. And then from that, I think one that's also missed, not just water, but I think another big one that's missed is food waste management. And I see a lot of hotels, and I think what COVID will actually change is there's no longer that open, free-for-all, pick as much as you like buffet, which I think is probably a good thing, where things are overcooked. The food waste levels are massive. And some of the projects I've seen, again, it depends on whether or not, digestion plants are available. But there's digestion, there's biogas, there's composting in Africa. I've worked on projects where food waste is turned into compost, which has helped, hospitality grow fresh produce on site. So that can all be recycled. It's possible. But again, of course, it does come down to the CapEx cost. Can the hotel afford it? Can the group afford it? Is it viable? and is it right? And of course, again, not saying everywhere you need to save water, save energy, but where you can, I think there's certainly a lot of options to either use hardware, make sure you're looking at how you are operating. Maybe there are more efficient ways to operate, and the equipment that you're also putting on there. It will make a substantial difference.
Yeah, thank you. I really like your idea about the reward, because usually guests are thinking that if they're paying a fee, they need to use more water or use more energy just because they're paying the room rate. But yeah, the fact of introducing that reward can encourage people to reduce their consumption, their water and energy consumption. And the other intake I'm getting from your talk is to consider the costs and start with the zero cost solutions, such as education for and training for operators, but also education for guests. And yeah, and afterwards we need to go for find solutions that will not cost that much, but will improve more, such as I don't know, rainwater recovery or this kind of things. But also think about the economies of scale. And if all hoteliers gather and choose certain technology, it will definitely, the price will drop down. So yeah, the trend is also to encourage everyone to use the same solutions, so to share the benefits and enjoy them together. Well, Mohammad, without further ado, I want to ask you a more general question about smart planning toward better future. And the question is, with many challenges that came with COVID-19, it also created a lot of opportunities, and Piotr introduced it earlier. So in your opinion, how did this pandemic create an opportunity for more sustainable building and greener technologies in general?
Thank you, Wiam, for the great question. Now, I believe that opportunities and challenges were always there. It's just that the pandemic made us more aware of them. It amplified their significance in a way. So, for example, financial constraints reminded us of how important resource efficiency is. Cleaner air made us realize the impact pollution had on our health and well-being. And when wildlife came back to our cities during the lockdown, we were able to appreciate nature better. From our side, as the World Green Building Council, we have always promoted green buildings for everyone, everywhere, and developed a strategy based on 3 pillars. These pillars, we believe, will drive the green building movement in the future. So when you build a post-COVID hotel or a building, we would like you to think of a few things. The first thing is how to achieve circularity and resource efficiency. A lot of the speakers here today touched upon issues such as water, energy, amongst other things. So these things now need to be taken into account more seriously. The other thing is, how do we build net zero hotels and buildings? 2-3 years ago, in 2018, we launched our World GBC net zero commitment. Through this, we hope that every building will be a net zero building by the year 2050. And hotels, I think, represent a very important example of how this could be done. People associate net zero with cost, but as we can see from different cases from around the world and some in Africa, it's not about cost as much as it is about creativity. The third pillar is how to integrate health and well-being in your building and in construction. Last week, we launched the World GBC Health and Well-being Framework in Africa, and it was widely attended by all the GBCs, I believe, in the region. And I think GBC South Africa was even part of developing the framework. And the framework has 6 pillars. And I think they summarize, in a way, a lot of the points that came up. So when Laurent mentioned issues of comfort and listening to customers and so on, I think that was great. And a lot of these issues or ideas were already embedded in the framework. And I've posted a link in the chat box if anybody would like to have a closer look at them. So the 6 principles are summarized in 6 points. One is protecting health, prioritizing comfort, harmony with nature, positive behavior, social value, and taking climate action into account. So this is how we believe the built environment, especially in hotels around the world, should look like post-COVID and from now till 2050 if we are to achieve the Paris Agreement objectives. Back to you, Wiam.
Thank you, Mohammed. You really went straight to the point, and I liked your hierarchy of talking about the 3 main ideas and then the sub-points of the health and well-being. And I just wanted to emphasize that the health and well-being launched by the World Green Building Council dated from a long time ago. I think that the opportunity that we got with the COVID is the fact that people are more aware about putting health and well-being before other priorities. And it's just a matter of how we prioritize our investments. So for hotel developers, it's about putting more money on health and having filters and direct outdoor air systems and this kind of equipment. And on the other side, spending less on marble and using some finishes that are easy to clean and contact-free. So I think that the best opportunity is this awareness that all the population are gaining nowadays. And and that's directing me towards my last question about sustainability investments. And the question is to all of the panelists, whoever wanna answer it. So do you think that the crisis will push hospitality investors to invest in more sustainability strategies?
Yes, and I'd love to.
Sure.
I'd love to sort of give a brief answer. I really do think, let's be honest, revenue streams have been hit really hard for the hospitality industry. Over the last 10 months, as we know, we've seen occupancy massively decline. Hotels in the UK still haven't reopened. And this is big chains like, Marriott, big groups, IHG. So I think moving forward, it is going to be a balance of sustainability versus the cost. But, if you could have a return on investment that's 25%, 30, 35%, 40% more than what you would expect from just having a look at your methods of and your practice in the design or any retrofitting or renovation that goes on. We have a very big global client that we work with, and just by changing a couple of things around faucets and taps in their restaurants, we've managed to save them $10 million in 3 years. And that's with an investment that was much, much smaller than that. So it can pay off. I believe it can pay off. And I think it's all about getting the right people to review the right areas and applications that can be either retrofitted or implemented. Yeah. Just my thoughts, but thank you.
Thank you. And I think it's really important to present to future clients these kind of studies and business cases, because clients, if we talk about return on investment, will be much open to change and much open to refurbishment. Piotr, I think you wanted to say something. Oh, or Charles, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to agree with Gavin on the issue of retrofitting. And I think because the industry, not only hospitality industry, was doing well prior to COVID-19, throughout all the industries were doing much, much better. But really this has posed a big challenge and a big question as to, that as designers, how we've always taken shortcuts to solve problems that can be solved through passive designs and use mechanical means to solve the energy problems, which are actually adding more costs in the operation of the hospitality. I think now the retrofitting is actually more than urgent to be really considered in terms of, just doing basic thing to ventilate the rooms, the space, by just placing the windows in the right places and then open up the windows. I've visited in San Francisco, in the hotels there. You don't open windows, they rely on mechanical ventilation completely. And I know it has got to do with the environment and all other things, but I think really now, I think the issues must go back to basics as designers to try and use less mechanical means to create comfort within the spaces and then just use passive and natural means to enhance sustainability. I think there's no doubt that we will have to go back. We have just taken a shortcut using the available gadgets that are on the market to try and deal with the issues that in a mechanical manner that could easily be solved by innovative design.
Yeah, and I think that about the fact of not using shortcuts, which I really like, is the fact of designing the building while thinking about its life cycle. It's not designing at the moment, but designing and thinking about its future uses or its whole life cycle. It's also how we're going to disassemble the whole at the end of the life of the building, and how can the building, if it's not possible to use it as a hotel for like 6 months, can we use it as an office or something like this? So I think that design, while taking into account the whole life cycle, will allow designers to reduce the shortcuts that they usually take and deliver a more strong design for properties.
When we talk about retrofit, we do many projects at this point for retrofit, and definitely we want to focus in our studio for using for example, the existing furniture or existing interesting elements from the history, from the past of the building, from the past of the location. So we don't need to throw everything to trash to tell an interesting story with architecture, and also we try to involve as much as possible local furniture artists or local furniture contractors, so we can actually stimulate a local market, not only to import everything from the end of the world, maybe just to focus on something that has soul, and also the interesting local aspect on the design. So we can, in this case, we did a project in Sarajevo in Bosnia and Herzegovina where we tried to use local carpenters and buy elements from the old town markets where the actual contractor was running to the old town to grab the carpets, for example, and local tables, crafted tables. So this is what really interesting, and it gives value for the hotel and gives money for the people from the city where the hotel is situated, not for the importers of the goods. And also this is very important to look for these opportunities. On the other hand, we have designed a hotel in Bali, 5-star luxury apart hotel, but made from salvage and trash. We wanted to say that luxury experience in luxury hospitality can be made from salvage. There's a lot of shops on Bali, in Indonesia, it's not in Africa, but in Indonesia, where people create the beautiful objects from the salvage. They create beautiful design elements from what they have or what they found. And we created all interior design just based on this, and also on salvage from the construction site. Because I'm not sure about, probably this is a problem not only in Indonesia, but also in Africa, where salvage and waste from construction sites are thrown away. So sometimes the local communities buy the salvage from from the construction site to improve their homes. This happens a lot of on Pacific area, and this is a trend where we definitely see the opportunity for design and for architecture to maybe rethink strategy behind the sourcing of the objects, and also in the same time to create this kind of educational elements, not only to make a huge impact on money and cost and capex and all this stuff, but also create some kind of opportunity for education. So when the guests are coming and they examine the interior design, they ask the questions where this came from. They ask maybe the service how it is created. So it creates a momentum where the service, the concierge can tell a story of a local artist or a local community. And this definitely is a small elements which are, as you said, Mohammed, is a matter of creativity, not a cost sometimes. It's a matter of decision. Those decisions are happening in the interior design studio, sometimes in architectural studio or in the hotel chain. So it's a matter of discussion and putting small steps forward every time. So that's from my point of view. Thank you.
Thank you, Piotr, for bringing back the circularity topic to the table. And that was already introduced by Mohammad. And I just want to talk about your personal experience. I'm myself a consultant for sustainable buildings and hotels as well. And I think that one of the trade-offs we face, especially here in Africa, is the fact of should we import materials or use local materials? Because the problem that we're facing is that local material, the local market is not always regulated. We don't have the EPDs, we don't have the HPDs, we don't have all the technical data that we need to consider these materials as sustainable. And sometimes we're obliged to bring materials from abroad, while we know that our local materials are sometimes better and more sustainable. But I just want to encourage all the local producers and local merchants to go ahead and regulate all their studies and data so that local clients can use their products as well. Laurent, you wanted to add something?
About the question about the investor, I think it's quite easy. Very easy. The question is very important. I will give you an example for France. A lot of investors invest in the mountain. And so they build very luxury hotel, flagship hotel, just for at the end of December, January, February, and March. At the same time, now we had some environment issue with the water with the communities for agriculture in the Alps. Sometimes during the summer we miss water. How can you imagine that agriculture miss water in the Alps, in the middle of the France? And at the same time we put water to have a snow because we have less and less snow on the mountain for skiing. And what does it mean? Do you think the next customer wants to stay in the hotel where we don't have snow, where you take all the water and close to you the communities don't have enough water for the agriculture? There is no sense. So the question is simply for investor: protect the planet and you protect your business. You do what you want with your business, with your hotel, and you don't take care of the environment, you will fail. And this they have to change. Now the customer is more and more engaged. They know this. For example, I saw sometime also in Africa, if you don't protect the beach, and if you don't have a beach after 10 years, you can have a very nice hotel, but a nice hotel without beach. So everywhere, in Paris, in beautiful resort, in the island, everywhere, the investor have to take care. And I would like, and I have a wish, maybe a dream. It's nice to have benefits and to promote, yes, my company had made a lot of benefits this year. Well, not this year, for sure, but if you remember the previous time. I hope one time the company will start to say, okay, we have a great job for the team, for the collaborators, because it's very important. We have a great job for the communities around the hotel. We earn money. It's important to earn money, to pay your suppliers, to pay your team, to bring a good experience for your customer. And I hope sometime we will add and we do something for the planet. And we miss this today. And I hope after this period, after this COVID situation, something will be like a sparkling a light on the head to the investor to say, okay, now maybe I will have less benefits, but I will do more for the communities, for the environment. I have this dream.
Yeah, and I think I do share your dream of people thinking about the positive impact as well on social and environmental impacts, not just the profit, and think about the whole triple bottom line. I really enjoyed talking and exchanging all these ideas with all of you today. Thank you for bringing all these fresh ideas about design and build in the hospitality sector. And I really cannot wait to talk to you during another circumstance and maybe during another event. So thank you all. And yeah.
Likewise.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate this discussion.
Thank you very much, Wiam.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Wiam, for a wonderful discussion. It was indeed very important to understand the design and build aspects of the hotels, the ongoing as well as the upcoming projects, lay off a plan for the future. Thank you. That was really very informative. Thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
See you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining the WOW Hospitality Trend Summit Africa. It was a great, successful first day of the event. Would like to again thank all of our speakers for the wonderful sessions, powerful presentations. Most importantly, would also like to thank our sponsors for this event. Without them, nothing would have been possible. We want to thank our platinum sponsor, TNS Brass. Big thank you to our gold partners, Savant and Hoist Group. And also thank you to Ivy, Euro ICC, and Hotel Logics. And of course, thank you to all our other partners as well. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 10 o'clock, GMT +1, Morocco time. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.